Jacoby Brissett named the starter for the Washington Commanders. What's your reaction? We'll give you ours here on Ref the District. Let's go. Greetings and salutations and welcome to Ref the District. I'm Nathan Perry. That's the Stoner. This is your news alert. Jacoby Brissett named the starter for the Washington Commanders by Ron Rivera. And this was telegraphed, Stoner, as on Sunday after the game, Ron Rivera came out and said that they'll make a decision on the QB early in the week, saying Sam Howell's confidence might have been shaken up by some early lapses, whether it's his or other drops, kind of planting the seed that a change is coming. Then his next presser, he said that they're going to have to work through a couple of things and he's going to talk with EB, but no decision's been made yet, yada, yada, yada. Reemphasize that he was going to talk with Eric Bieniemy later, and then they'll let people know the next day. And sure enough, there it is. Today, the presser was moved from the afternoon, which would have been after practice, to before practice, first thing this morning, where he comes out, Ron Rivera comes out and names Jacoby Brissett the starter for this week against the San Francisco 49ers. Yep. Now, Jacoby Brissett was not named the starter for the rest of the season, although it is likely expected to be the case as Washington is looking to potentially try to salvage something from this season, or at least show that this offense can work with a competent QB. This probably doesn't come as a shock to most people. Like I said, it was telegraphed. Sam Howell was benched 2 weeks in a row. Jacoby Brissett has been playing strong in relief in those games, not necessarily against defenses that were laying off either. Some of those defenses were actually trying to get after him, and he was just able to move the ball. Some poor decision-making with clock management stuff made it even seem even worse, but Jacoby Brissett played well in the time that he's seen, and now we get to see a full 4 quarters with him. Are you honestly surprised this happened? Is this something that you wanted to happen, Stoner?
Well, that's two totally different questions for sure. The first one is, am I surprised? Am I shocked? Absolutely, I'm surprised and I'm shocked. Not based on what happened on Sunday, and as you talked about in the opening about the different press conferences, and when they were asked the question and they said, we'll get back to you, we're going to evaluate. That is definitely a telltale sign that you're going to change quarterbacks. Because if you don't have any plans to change, you say, I don't have any plans to change. So that part didn't shock me from that standpoint. But from the overall standpoint, that they're going to start Jacoby Brissett this week, and I'm sure next week, there's only 2 games left. Absolutely, that shocks me to my core. Because we've been saying, and I think everybody agrees on this point, because we don't agree on much overall, but I think everybody agrees on this one point. From the very beginning, this season has been all about Sam Howell and finding out if Sam Howell is the guy. That's the entire equation of this season. Nobody thought Ron was coming back or EB was going to be head coach, or nobody thought that. But they had to know if Sam is going to be the guy. When you go into the offseason, your entire plan on your offseason is based around Sam Howell, whether or not he's the guy. If he's not, fine, go out and find a quarterback or build everything else and then let a guy like Jacoby Brissett or somebody come in and build all the way around him. If he is the guy, fine, build all those other pieces. But whatever, it was all about Sam Howell. And then at this point, to just say, let's bench him and kind of see what happens, I don't understand it. And I'm going to ask you, Nathan, and I didn't even get to the second part of your question. Maybe we'll answer that later on. But I have to ask you, Nathan, what are the potential reasons or the reasons that Ron is putting out there, the spin or other people are putting out there, or that you think, why are they doing this? I just would like to know, and I would like to counter each of those ideas of why they're making this move. Why are they doing it, Nathan? What's the purpose?
Ron Rivera has come out and said that it's largely to kind of protect Sam or continue his development because he's at this point pressing. He's doing too much. He's not performing well enough to be a starter. Let's face it, if this weren't the situation of Washington trying to develop a young QB, and this was like a third year or fourth year starter, no one would be blinking an eye at benching Sam Howell. But like you said, Ron Rivera goes into the season, says that Sam Howell is the quarterback of the future. We're here to develop him. That's going to be first and foremost what this team wants after wins. Well, wins didn't come, so now you have the development of Sam Howell, and benching him as a sense of that's going to help his development is an interesting take. And I do think one thing is true, Stoner. This is my point of view here. I think Sam Howell deserved to be benched. His play the last few weeks has been horrible. When you're looking at it from that aspect, the offense can't get off the ground. You can't evaluate any of the other players you have. Not that you really need to. You're keeping Terry. You're keeping Jahan Dotson. You know what Curtis Samuel's brought because he's brought it all season long. The line is a haphazard mess, and we're going to be doing a deep dive into a line at some time. But Sam Howell was not able to really give this offense any movement. And so it's just like, yeah, of course it makes sense to bench him from that standpoint. But as far as the development thing, I think the only thing I agree with here is he's not actually going to learn going out there and continuing to get pummeled in this Eric Bieniemy-led offense.
I disagree.
There's probably going to be, most likely going to be a switch at offensive coordinator next season. And so him continuing to go out there and press and not do things on schedule and not see the field correctly, it's just not helpful for him. It's not, and you, Stoner, I personally am a guy who says QBs need reps, just keep him out there. And I personally probably would have just kept him out there just because this is a lost season anyways. You might as well just throw him out there and see if he can unscrew himself, if he can just fix himself.
I saw what you were going to say there. I like the way you held your tongue. But Nathan, here's how I counter that statement. And all of what you said, I think is mostly true. But if he doesn't play another down because you're trying to help his development by sitting him, that means right now, the body of work that you have with Sam Howell is what you have to base your decision on in the offseason. What is your decision? You still don't have enough data yet to decide. And maybe some people
do. You really think that these last two games are going to make the difference? Do you think that these last two games are going to have that big impact? You literally have the entirety of the rest of this season plus the Dallas game of tape to determine whether or not Sam Howell's the guy.
Okay,
do you think him going out two more games and getting benched is going to help you with?
So what's your decision?
What's your decision? QB.
Okay, and that would be most people.
Have you not been paying attention? I've been screaming from the rooftops for the last month since the Thanksgiving game. I said, we have a Sam Howell problem. People still think he's the QB of the future. And he was showing us he was regressing. He wasn't getting better. And it's not just any of the analytics or even, the fact that he's a young QB with a line that's struggling and an offensive coordinator that's not helping him out and all this other stuff. He himself wasn't doing enough on the field. And I've been trying to tell people, you got to dial back the love for this kid and start really looking at whether or not he can be the guy. So you're preaching to the choir when it's just like, what are we doing? We've got a top 3 pick now, thanks to the New England Patriots. And that means you're likely going to be taking, for the time being, you're likely going to take a QB with a top 3 pick.
Okay. But that's fine and dandy, Nathan. That's your opinion, right? I'm trying to think of it from the front office's opinion, from the Ron Rivera point of view, or whomever is making the decisions. I know Ron's not going to be making the decisions come January 8th. He's not going to be making those decisions anymore, but he's still making the decisions now. And those decisions have implications for this offseason and into next season and beyond. These decisions have consequences that he's making right now for this organization. So what is he doing to help the decision makers who, to be fair, are not even in this organization right now? They're still to be found in the offseason, but the ownership. And if everybody likes to throw around that guy's name, I forget his name already. The guy who is it? Shen?
And
Yeah, they like to throw his name around, that he's making all these decisions for the owner right now, analytic based. What are they going to gain by sitting Sam Howell right now and continuing his development by sitting him? They're not. So take all of that information that has just been given to you from our point of view, from Ron Rivera's point of view, from Shen's point of view, from Josh Harris's point of view, from whoever's going to be here. They don't even know it yet that they're going to be here as decision makers. It's the decision has been made that Ron can say all he wants in these press conferences, which he said today in the press conference. He said, this is part of the continued development of Sam Howell. It's not. We got to stop with that message at this point. The clear message is Sam Howell is not the guy, because you're not going to learn anything by throwing Jacoby Brissett out there, because you're comparing apples to oranges at this point. It's not the same defenses. You're not running the exact same plays. The health of the players that you're playing with are different. The health of your players you're playing against are different. The players you're playing against, the teams, the motivations, all of that are different. I don't care if Jacoby goes out there and throws the ball 50 times with 2 play action passes and none of them are quick drops. You can't compare what Jacoby's going to do with these last 2 games and say, see, all along it was Sam Howell. It was not the offense that was built. You can't do it. You're only going to muddy the waters, Nathan. You're not. Everybody thinks these last 2 games with Jacoby starting are going to clear everything up and give us a clearer picture of who Sam Howell is. It's not. It's going to muddy it even more. But this I can tell you, Sam's not the guy.
I was about to say, I don't think it muddies the water at all, Stoner. I think it makes it blatantly clear that you don't have the guy. If you look at any of the other QBs in history that got benched and their coaches all said, we like him. We still think he's the guy. He just needs this. Look at the Zach Wilsons. Look at the Rosens. Look at the Sam Darnolds. These are the ones that you hear this about. You don't hear this about the Patrick Mahomes, the Lamar Jacksons. You don't hear this about the Josh Allen, who had some difficult years in the beginning. So this is very clearly what they're trying to say. And it's kind of interesting because you mentioned what Ron said about this is his continued development. He actually also said that this is not an indictment against Sam Howell being the QB of the future, but you just benched him. That's absolutely an indictment.
In 2 straight games, you benched him.
3rd time in 3 weeks that he's been benched for a journeyman QB.
Well, what I mean by muddying the waters versus clearing the picture is it's muddying the waters in terms of whether us are trying to evaluate if Sam Howell's the guy. It's going to muddy the waters. It's going to make the arguments even less clear. In terms of what the decision has been made in Ashburn for the decision makers, it's crystal clear. Crystal clear that they are not going into this offseason with Sam Howell, building around Sam Howell. It doesn't mean they're just going to throw him away. They might keep him around. They might draft 2 offensive linemen and a receiver and secondary, whatever, and keep Sam Howell around. Or they might just say, all right, we got the number 1 pick or we're taking Caleb Williams, and Sam Howell, we never knew you, basically, because you're going to go back to never getting a rep in practice again.
Yeah, Sam Howell, I'm not going to say Caleb Williams quarterback. I think he should be around. I think that he's going to be an excellent backup quarterback for years, but he's
not here. He won't.
He's clearly showing Washington and the league that he's just not the QB of the future for this team. Jacoby Brissett is getting the start, not likely to move the needle against the San Francisco 49ers. But if you want to check it out and see that up-to-date wagering news, you're going to want to head over to Bet Online because they got everything covered on the NFL, NBA. Those college bowl games are live and in action. Playoffs right around the corner as well. And you can head out to Bet Online, get that up-to-date wagering news on all of that and more. Use the code BELIEVE, BLEAV, to get yourself a 50% welcome bonus. and give yourself a little treat this holiday season. Bet online where the game starts. And as always, Ref the District reminds you to please bet responsibly. Jacoby Brissett getting the start, Stoner, is something I don't think either of us like when it
No,
comes
I still
to
don't
the
like
grand
it.
scheme thing. It's not a great thing to happen. What can we expect though from a Jacoby Brissett start? Are we going to really see things improve with Washington's offense? Are we going to, is this more for Eric Bieniemy to go? And I'm struggling a little bit, Stoner, and I need you to really answer this. So I asked just like 3 questions back to back there, but this is the one I need answered.
Okay.
Okay.
I got the answer.
Why do we feel bad about this? You and I are team never tank. We want our team to have the best chance to win. And that clearly isn't Sam Howell right now. Jacoby Brissett has played well enough to keep these teams competitive. And he absolutely, not probably, absolutely gives Washington a better chance to win in these last 2 games, which is what we've been screaming at people for. We're like, why are you wishing your team loses? Hope that they win. Jacoby Brissett gives us a legit chance to win. So why do we hate this move so much?
Because the winning is one thing. The trying to win is one thing. But you don't do that at the detriment to developing your future quarterback.
Yeah.
At the expense, thank you, that's the right word. At the expense of developing your potential future quarterback. Tackles are great, running backs are great, receivers are great, quarterbacks are everything in this league. So you have to decide if he's the one. So if you're benching him, you've decided that he's not the one because reps are everything. So I want Sam Howell to go out there and continue to get the reps and continue to develop on the field and give us more data. So you win at all costs, but you do it with the guy that you think is going to be the future. It's just like in years past when you go back to Carson Wentz or, you know what I mean, which they did against Cleveland. It was to see, okay, is Carson Wentz going to be the guy that we're going to give the next contract to at the end of the year? Because Taylor Heineke's not the guy. Jacoby Brissett is not the future of this team. He might be a bridge guy, but he's not the future. So you should be going with the guy to figure out if he's the guy or not. And that's Sam Howell. And that's why I have a problem with benching Sam Howell. Because now I'm just going to watch the game and I'm going to root for my team to win. But there's no sort of that hope part is gone because Jacoby, he's not the guy. So you're just it's Carson Wentz, it's Taylor Heineke, it's Alex Smith, it's Ryan Fitzpatrick, it's all these guys that we go out there and watch, and you're just like, I hope my team wins, but I know at some point we've still got to figure out who our quarterback is. One of the very first shows that we talked about, that we had on Ref the District, and we talked about, was in the offseason of 2021, from 2020 to 2021 coming up, and we said at that time that if this team does not go out and find their quarterback of the future, then they're basically putting aside years worth of opportunity. That's what they have to do. And then the next offseason, the same thing. And then the next offseason, here we are again with the whole Sam Howell deal and Jacoby Brissett. And now we're going to go into this offseason. Again, we have to say, you have to figure out who your quarterback is. Nothing else matters without the right quarterback. Can you win 7 or 8 games? Sure. Can you push for a playoff position like they have in the past with some of these guys? Sure. But you don't become a truly great organization on the field unless you've got the quarterback. And here we are again, another offseason where we're going to say, who's the guy? Because we don't know again.
8th starting quarterback for Ron Rivera since 2020. His idea coming into this Stoner was it was going to be a 5-year rebuild. A little bit of expectation management there because he knew he wasn't turning around in year 1 or 2. Well, it turns out he couldn't really turn it around in the entire tenure here. But his concept coming in was build a team and then insert a QB rather than find the guy and build around him. It'll be interesting to see what the next regime does. Do they try to continue building a team and use Sam Howell as a bridge quarterback, or do they truly believe that he can turn things around? We'll have to wait for all of that next season. What's frustrating here for me, Stoner, is that this truly signifies the end of this season. We are literally just waiting for the end at this point. We know that the regime change is coming. Ron Rivera is going to be out the door, and there's going to be new people coming in, new people making decisions and everything. But with Sam Howell being the starter for the last 2 games, you at least got to see that, try to again kind of spark something in him. Where are his wow plays? Can we see him kind of do something that shows us like, hey, even though he's having bad games, there's still this spark here that can be ignited. And now with Jacoby Brissett taking the snaps, it does, in fact, take away a little bit of that hope. And I was just disappointed. I mean, I sat here just dumbfounded and just blew. I mean, I almost was in tears, Stoner, when the news came, because I believed so much in Sam Howell at the start of the season. I convinced you that Sam Howell was going to be.
So did Sam's play.
And so did Sam's play. And then the wheels started coming off, and I realized, okay, we have a problem on our hands. And you wanted to believe, and now we're at a position where Sam Howell is benched in week 17 of NFL actions. You got to let us know in the comment section if you're watching this on YouTube, or if you're watching this on your favorite audio platform. Make sure you hit us up at Ref the District and let us know what you feel about Sam Howell being benched, Jacoby Brissett getting that start here in Washington, and with the last 2 games coming up here. I'm Nathan. That's the Stoner. We're Ref the District, brought to you by Bet Online. And until next time,
it's been this many days since the last Commanders drama.
Be a fan.